Hi everyone, my name is Jenny and welcome back to my creative space. So we are starting a new reading vlog. If my outfit looks familiar to you, that is because I just finished closing out my last reading vlog. I just finished filming my September wrap up and now I'm starting a new vlog. I'm trying to pre-film a bunch of things so that I can have some videos for you while I'm on vacation. You're probably sick and tired of me talking about my vacation, but it is what it is. So we are starting a new vlog. In this vlog, we are going to concentrate on reading and completing The Second Death of Locke. And then I also wanted to read Don't Fear the Reaper, which is book 2 in the Indian Lake trilogy. And then whatever book kind of comes up in my Libby holds, I think I'll try to read that. And a lot of this week is going to be prepping for said vacation, getting some bits and bobs done. I am doing quite a bit of cleaning before I go. And then also, I think it would be fun for us to plan and figure out the books that I want to read for my trip. I will be gone for quite a bit, so I would like to have some books to read while I'm on the plane and then certain public transportation that's going to take a while. I'd like to have at least some audiobooks to read. I do get motion sick, so I can't be reading an ebook on like a train or anything. But I would like to have some audio to read because there are certain train rides that I know that are going to take a while. And of course, the airplane is going to take quite a long time. So we can figure that out during this week. But as of right now, we are going to be focusing on The Second Death of Locke. I will share my thoughts and opinions with you when I get further into the book. But as of right now, I have this large stack of books that I need to put away. So let's film some B-roll and then I will catch up with you when I read some more of The Second Death of Locke. I have some updates for you for The Second Death of Locke. I think I haven't introduced this book in this vlog. Honestly, I've just been all over the place, been very busy, so I apologize if like the past few videos I've posted are a little messy. So in The Second Death of Locke, we follow our main character, Gray Flynn, who her life is dedicated to a mage, and the mage's name is Cure, and she is kind of like a power bank for Cure in battle. They always have to kind of be together in order for Cure to kind of siphon power from her in order to be like a better mage, basically. He is the captain of like whatever platoon they're in, and so obviously that means her position in there is a lot higher as well because she is working with the captain. Within like the first couple of chapters, we do figure out that the two of them have known each other from like a younger age, so there's a little bit something there. This book, I believe, is in the romantasy genre, so it definitely is a lot more character focused than it is focusing on like the plot of a fantasy world. I am now at like probably the 40% mark. I paused, I think at chapter 14, is it? Yeah, chapter 14 is where I paused for the day. And honestly, yeah, my feelings from the last vlog about this is that I am really enjoying the character dynamic between Cure and Gray. Although we start off kind of in the midst of their relationship, their friendship. Is there something there? Is there not something their kind of vibe and energy, I think I have become very invested and well attached to them. It's not like one of those friends to lover books where suddenly we're just supposed to believe that they have a connection. Their connection is very palpable, and there is a lot of yearning in this book because there's a lot of moments with our main character, Gray, who kind of describes Kira in a way that you can obviously tell that she is deeply in love with him, but there's like this sense of denial that she has. And as far as I've read, we haven't really gotten any other perspective besides hers, but the yearning and even like her observing Kier and us as the audience inferring his actions towards her as his own sense of yearning, fantastic. Fantasy wise, the plot is, I don't think basic is the word, but it isn't something that is like out of left field. It's not something that is completely new and we've never seen before. But I think the character dynamic is what is really selling me with this book, and it is so moody and melancholic feeling because there just seems to be this impending doom for the couple, and it feels like, they can never have joy and happiness in a way. And I don't know, I just really, really enjoy the writing and the conversations that are being had between our main characters, but also between like the group of people that they're working with. At the point that I'm at, Kier and Gray are sent off to a mission to really escort somebody who they believe is politically powerful within this world, and we get to see the repercussions of what happens there. There's not anything too intense that's happened plot wise, but there have just been moments in the dialogue between the two that I've been kicking my feet and giggling, and I'm like, mm-hmm. And there are moments where Gray's like, we're just friends, there's nothing here. And I'm like, yeah, because friends do that to each other. Friends just decide to cling on to each other and hug each other in a way that everybody else in the room is like, go get a room. Yeah, I don't think anybody has said that about just friends, but who am I to say? And then I also got Moon of the Crested Snow from my Libby. The hold came in today, and that's only like a 7-hour audiobook, so maybe I can have that as a in between read from this one and for Don't Fear the Reaper. It could be a bit ambitious. Again, I am getting ready to go on a trip, and there's just a lot of things that I need to get done beforehand. I'm really excited to go on this vacation, obviously. It's going to be a long one, and I've just really needed some time to recharge. And I'm going with my parents, so it's really nice to just hang out with them and like have time like this where we're not like stressed and we don't have to worry about responsibilities and things. But I think just inherently international trips have more stress leading up to it than like more domestic trips. So, we'll see. Once I get on the plane, I hope my stress and anxiety just disappears from my body. But yeah, as a girl with anxiety, who knows? Sometimes the anxiety is always there, but at least I'm having fun with my anxiety. So I'm going to let you go now so that I can actually get some things done. I'm on my work break, so I am going to do a quick update for you. I have started reading Moon of the Crested Snow by Whipsheg Rice. There's my little audiobook there for you. And I am 35% into this one. It is a book that's following this community. Our main character's name is Evan, and we get to see him kind of preparing for the winter of this season. And he went out hunting, and he's providing food for his family for the beginning of winter. I think they're like mid-fall when the book starts. But basically what happens is at the beginning, like after his hunt, he notices that there's like some connectivity issues with his phone. And then slowly, like around their community, there's just been like power issues. So the people on the reservation decide to get together and make up a plan on how to conserve energy in the area so that they can kind of make it through winter. At the 30%, I'm not going to go into much detail or spoil anything, but there seems to just be a rising issue throughout the community, and like other local communities seem to be having some sort of connection issue with power, and that is causing panic around the local area. And I think, is this considered a, let's see, I'm pulling up Goodreads to see what the genre is. I believe this is a horror, but from what I've read thus far, it seems more of a contemporary slice of life because we're getting to know Evan and we're getting to know his family members and his community members and the sort of dynamic that goes on between them. Obviously, in the book, there is a lot of like panicked energy, and the feeling is kind of slow growing. It's not something that the community immediately feels. And there's like a discussion between our main character, Evan, and his mother, like, oh yeah, like us having kind of poor connection and poor power isn't something new to them. And so the community at large doesn't necessarily panic immediately. And this definitely is much more slow burn in regards to like a thriller novel. On the search for the genre, it is labeled as apocalyptic thriller suspense. And yeah, it feels very domestic at this point, obviously, because we are following this kind of smaller knit community and we're getting to see the impact of like them not having power. And it just feels so much more, for me at least, claustrophobic given the season that they're in. They are coming into winter, and because of the drop in temperature and everything, not only do they need supply for food, but they also need like heat to keep warm in their homes. And like, obviously, you need power to preserve the food that you have within like your fridge. And yeah, I don't know where this is going, to be honest. It just feels very ominous and very like anxiety inducing. Thus far, the characters haven't acted in a way that is too dramatic, and it doesn't necessarily make me feel that anxious because like there's certain books where immediately you're anxious from the get-go. I think our main characters are trying their best to be logical and make the best choices for themselves and their community. So at this point we have somebody who's a lot more level-headed, and I think that helps with the sort of claustrophobic and anxiety feelings that you typically would have in these kind of books. But at 35%, I'm kind of enjoying this slower pace. And I'm very intrigued to see where this goes. Hello, my friends. I'm here to give you an update on Moon of the Crested Snow. I finished that yesterday. I didn't film at all yesterday because I've been feeling a bit ill, which, you know, given that I have a vacation I'm going on, isn't great, but you know, the show must go on. I've taken some medication for like this tension headache that I have going on right now, and hopefully it subsides and I feel better, and like the oncoming cold symptoms I have dissipate. I've been drinking a lot of hot water, and then I think I'm gonna do like some ginger lemon honey thing to hopefully help myself. Anyway, here, anyway, let me update you on the Moon of the Crested Snow. I finished that one and I ended up giving it a 3 star. I don't think 3 stars is a bad book, but I think I just had different expectations of what I thought the book would be. It is a post apocalyptic book, so we are following this smaller community within this reservation and just seeing how they process and work through an unimaginable experience, and also an experience where even they themselves as community members are unsure of really what's going on. And although it felt very ominous the entire time, I think for the community members, because we got to see so much of their daily life and how they kind of kept trucking along, it didn't feel as anxiety inducing as I thought it would. I think when I did my first check in the book, I was talking about how it felt very slice of life to me, and it continued to have that pace. There was a kind of shift within the community that is spoken about in the synopsis, where a stranger comes into the community. And while that was a big moment of contention within the book, and certain things happen further down the line, which I won't spoil, it just felt like the same kind of slice of life pacing. And so it is a much slower kind of book, and it doesn't have as much action. What is that phrase? Is it the frog being boiled in water, or is it a crab? Something like that. That's what the book felt like. Like, there you are being eased into this post-apocalyptic world with these people. And there are moments in the book where there's tension that spikes, but then because we are following the main character, Evan, who is so level headed, I didn't feel intensely worried throughout the whole thing. This book just felt much more of like a slow contemplation of what a small community of people would do in regards to, the world kind of falling apart and the things that you technically would rely on not being there anymore. And I did like the thematics of it all, like the idea of community, the idea of people in crisis, if they are willing to work as a group or if they're more individualistic. There's a lot of interesting commentary and moments in this, but I think just from my expectation, I thought there would be just a little bit more of a forward action in it, and it just felt like, again, a slice of. I will like to say that the stranger coming in, this isn't a spoiler or anything, but I felt it was like really funny, and I don't know if it was meant to be funny, but to me it was. When we first are introduced to the stranger, our main character Evan is unable to see him because he has like a helmet on, and he's like, oh, okay, like I'm not sure if this is somebody that I can trust because I can't like see his face, can't see his eyes. And then he takes off his helmet, and the first thing Evan says is like, oh my god, he's bald. He doesn't say it like that, obviously, but it was just so funny because, like, immediately they're like, his shiny bald head, the light was reflecting off of his bald head, and then he meets other community members, and in the text, it's like, this man with a bald head. I can see why this specific characteristic of that character was mentioned multiple times, but just to me, it felt so funny, and it was like, yeah, of course, he looks so much different from the other people on the reservation, being a bald white guy. But it was just so funny because when I was reading the text, I'd be like, what? They would say his name, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And then they'd be like, his bald head. And I'm like, oh, yes, that's the man. And then in regards to the second death of Locke, I'm on chapter 17. Would you say that's like a little bit over 50% of the book done, and I'm in part 3, and the yearning in this is crazy. And just like the lines of yearning, the way it is described, this author is really putting me through it. I'm kind of scared to read certain lines to you because I don't want to spoil it, but there's like this scene where one of the characters is saying like, the idea of not knowing how the other felt for them was just so heart-wrenching and so painful, that every day that they're so close to each other, that they were just unaware of the other's feelings, but they were also like too scared to kind of admit their feelings, because then that could completely shift and change the dynamic if the other wasn't reciprocating. And I don't think that I have felt this intensity of yearning in a book since maybe Robin Hobb. I don't know. The yearning in Robin Hobb, that book isn't, it's fantasy. It's not even like romance forward, but there is a certain character coupling that like there is a yearning that is much deeper than just romance between the two. And in this book, I feel it that way. They are more than just like oh, I romantically like this person. It's like they are so entwined and connected with each other that it just is so palpable. And it's just so funny because they are with a group, a smaller group of people who are on this mission for the country's military, who see the tension between them and they're like, these losers need to go get a damn room. But they're like, well, I don't know if the other one likes me. And honestly, right now, this is exactly the vibe that I am looking for. I think in my last check in, I didn't do that great of a job telling you what this is about, but it is still that main character focus between these two. And basically, what this really is, I think the best way I can sum it up is that they are in the military. Our main characters, Gray and Kier, are in the military. Kier is a mage and Gray is a well. So they're like partners in battle. Being a well is basically like being a battery pack for your mage. And they are tasked to escort this person who they think could potentially help restore the magic in the land because there was this issue that happened, I think, was it maybe 10 years prior? Something along the lines of that, timeline wise, where this isle of people were kind of massacred. And the thing is that isle of people held a lot of magic in the world. And because the magic is waning and dying, they believe that the heir of that isle is still alive. And they're trying to search for that person in order to restore magic to their world. So Kier and Gray are part of the small platoon of people who are helping kind of do research and figure out who this person is so that the kingdom that they're in can help restore magic. And it obviously, has bigger implications on the world. It is just such a moody, atmospheric read. And I don't know, something about yearning and autumn. The two of those two things together is just perfect. But yeah, I'm sorry if this check-in didn't sound coherent at all. Again, I'm having like a tension headache, but I think my medication is kicking in, so we'll take that as a win. I'm gonna go take a break now. I'm on my lunch break for work, so I'm gonna go maybe take a nap or something. And then when I read more of this book, I will check in with you. Hopefully in the next check-in, I do feel better and this tension headache is gone from my head. Checking in, this is more of a life update than a book update because since the last time I checked in with you for the second death of Locke, I think I've only read like 10 or 15% more. I believe I was at 50% yesterday when I checked in. I'm still so sick to my stomach because of the yearning and the agony of this relationship that this author is putting me through. Nothing necessarily bad is happening. I mean, define bad. But, I won't go any further into that because then I would just be spoiling it for you, right? But the dynamic of the characters in this is just chef's kiss. I don't think I have felt so connected with a group of characters and a coupling in so long. And this is exactly the kind of fantasy romance I have been looking for. If you've watched my other vlogs from the beginning of this year, I think one of my main goals was to kind of get into fanro because it is such a trending and popular genre in like the past few years that I'm like, okay, I want to know what all the hype is about. I want to be one of the people who loves and enjoys fanro. And just like the ones that I've tried, at least, not many of them have worked for me, and I've not been convinced of the romantic dynamic. And usually it's either one or the other is annoying or very off-putting to me. But in this one, the both of them, I want to scream, cry, throw up. The yearning between them, the gentleness between them, the true love and care and affection between them. Oh my God. It just makes me sick. Absolutely sick. And the queer normativeness of this entire world. Love it. Fantastic. Again, if you have not picked this up, please do, because I think you could really, really enjoy this. And there's just so much good stuff in this, and I cannot wait to see what this author does with the rest of their writing career, because this is amazing. But back to the life update. I've just clocked out of work, finally. My last day of work before my vacation, and I could cry. Oh my gosh. Just the past few months, I have been going through some things and just feeling really burnt out and really just unsure and lost in my life. And the idea that I get to go on vacation and I get to relax and I get to spend time with my parents and just have a time and moment to connect with like the people who I really care about, and then also just, do fun things and experience a culture different from mine is so fun. But I am going to Japan for my trip. We are celebrating my mom's birthday and also my dad's early retirement. So we're just doing a little family trip, me and them, and just bopping about the town. I am the planner and the navigator. I don't know if I'm gonna vlog because I'm not really an outside of the house vlogger. Also, never done a travel vlog before. Love watching them, but I make no promises that there will be any vlog specifically for Japan. There might be like clips and stuff that I will share later on when I come back, because my dad does want me to bring this camera, but we'll see about like a legitimate travel video or if it's just me recapping my trip. But yeah, that's the exciting part. Also, I went to the allergist today, and if you can see my arm, like they did patch testing, they did a panel for environmental allergies, and my doctor goes, "Well, you're allergic to trees." And I was like, "Trees?" He's like, "Well, the pollen from trees." And I was like, "Okay, okay." And then he goes, "And you're like really severely allergic to grass." And like my arm, the area where they put like the little grass sample on was like really swollen and really red. And he's like, "Yeah, that usually shouldn't happen if you're not allergic to it, but like it's pretty severe." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Severely allergic to grass and trees? I'm allergic to the outside world." That is just sick and twisted, to be honest. I cannot believe. And then one of the things that I really love doing is going to botanical gardens. And botanical gardens always have damn trees. So what am I supposed to do? He gave me a nasal spray, so, maybe that'll do something for me. Who knows? But what are you talking about severely allergic to trees and grass? What am I supposed to do? Go outside in a hazmat suit? This is it's kind of funny, but it's not. And then the funny part also is that my dog is really allergic to grass too. So, Momo and me, we're in it together. We both have anxiety and we both have severe grass allergies. But I will update you when I finish this book, and I bet you I'm going to be torn to pieces for this ending. That's just my prediction. Hello everyone, I'm here to close out the vlog, but before I give you my final thoughts on the second death of Locke, I thought I would tell you what books I am planning to bring with me on vacation. I was going to do a whole thing where I was going to show you what's in my travel bag, but I have not packed my travel bag because most of the things that are in there I use on the daily. So I thought that I would tell you what I'm bringing in regards to reads. So I have a few things checked out on Libby, so those will be my priority reads. I have Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. I read The Hacienda in my last vlog and I really enjoyed it, and it was such a perfect gothic kind of horror vibe. Isabel Cañas' work does lean a little bit more romantic, I would say, but there are moments of like gore and horror that I think are really, really well done. And there's just an amazing atmosphere in Isabel's writing. And then the next audiobook I have is Alchemize by Sin Lin Yu. This one I'm just going to give a try. I don't think it's something that I would enjoy, but a few of my friends have been reading it and they seem to be having a good time. And because it's like a longer read, it could be something that holds me over on an 11-hour plane ride. So I will give it a taste test. My friend, my Shelley, told me that it took her 8 chapters to really get into it. So I will give myself 8 chapters, but if I really do hate it, I'm just going to let it go back to the local library. And then the next one that I have is Don't Fear the Reaper by Stephen Graham Jones. I originally wanted to read it for this reading vlog, but this week has just been kicking my ass, to be honest. I've thought that I had a lot more time than I really do. And I feel with vacation, the time really just sneaks up on you quick. So that can be something that I read on the plane. And the next 2 books that I have are actually rereads for me. I really want to get back into The Raven Scholar and just reread that. I think rereads for traveling is really great because like you already know the story. You don't have to be fully locked in. And the next book that I have for reread is The Will of the Many. That one I have the audio because I had an Audible credit that I needed to use up before canceling. So I ended up getting that one. And I think I want to prioritize that one as a reread because the sequel, which I think is called Strength of the Few, is coming out in November. And so when I come back from my trip, which would be end of October, we only have like a few weeks left until the follow-up comes out. I just want to reread and make sure that I have like all of the plot points in my head because it's been, I think, a year and a half since I've read The Will of the Many, and while the ending of the book is crystal clear in my mind, everything else is kind of been a blur. So I do want to catch myself up on the lore and just remind myself. But for the final check-in for The Second Death of Locke, I finished this last night and I think it's gonna be a 5-star. For my journey of romantasy, to give a romantasy a 5-star, I just have certain sort of gripes with the romantasy that I'd picked up that I believe I talked about in, I think it's in this video or the prior reading vlog, that I feel like the relationship kind of goes too quickly for me. And I really do like a slow burn. And this one, although the main characters are kind of friends at the very beginning and they have this long history of knowing each other since when they were young, there was still an amazing amount of build up to them coming together romantically and just getting to see characters who have a really well built out trust and dynamic between the two is something that I really, really enjoyed. And I think the fantasy world in here was really well thought out. I think it was imaginative. I really did like the magic system in this between mages and wells and how like wells are integral to magic being able to be used in this world. And there are 4 parts in this book, and I think each one just built really well on top of one another, and it was just such a fun read for me. The amount of love and care and tenderness, not only between the romantic couple, but also the found family unit in this, was just everything I love in a book and more. And I'm so excited to see what V.L. Bavellino does with this series. I think it's a interconnected standalone type of deal, which honestly breaks my heart a little bit because I would like more of Kieran Gray, but you know, who am I to say what the author should do? I think VL has also published YA novels under the name Tori Bavellino, and I think her YA work is more so horror leaning. So I'm really interested to see what that is like. So for this reading week, I got 2 books done, Moon of the Crystal Snow and The Second Death of Locke. A very realistic week of reading for me, especially given that I've been so busy this week. I'm sorry that this vlog has kind of been all over the place, but I'm really scrambling for time, so I do apologize for that. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for being here and supporting me and watching my videos. If you'd like to see a little bit more of me, just like online or anything, please do follow me on Instagram. I have the same handle, JYT_creative space. I have it linked down below as always. And yeah, just thank you so much for watching and coming along with me this week. If you've made it this far and don't have anything else to say, let's put some keys in the comments for second death of lock, because, you know, to open a lock, you need a key. I just thought that was fitting. But again, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!